Okay, welcome to JC Connect. This is the second class of your subject, that is building cost and quality management. So in the previous class, uh, we have discussed the importance of this subject, that is building cost and quality management. And I already said that it is having two components. The first one, that is the related to the cost. I said that we are going to, in the first part of this subject, we are going to discuss about the complete estimation of any of the buildings, or complete estimation of any of the civil engineering works. Then I also said that this how this cost is going to affect in terms of quality aspects. So second, that we have discussed about the quality management, that is about quality. So I said it is TQM. It is about the total quality management. And by definition of the total quality management, so as when we say it is total quality management, always we have to consider two aspects, that is customer satisfaction, customer satisfaction, and long-term success. Long-term, long-term success we have to. These two aspects always you have to consider. And I also highlighted that there's a lot of difference between success and the long-term success. When I say it is a long-term success, um, always it has to meet the objective of the project. For example, whenever uh, you are formulating any of objectives of any of the projects, so normally one particular objective is that it has to satisfy the design period. When I say it is a design period, for example, I've given an example of the water supply design network. Normally, it is designed for 30 years. So then, I've given one example also by taking the required pressure at the residual ends in the water supply distribution network. So it has to be satisfied with the residual pressure of 7 meter and above um, in the other end, uh, even for 30 years, not only for 1 year or 3 years. Then let us say that it is long-term success. Then ultimately it has to be linked with the customer satisfaction. When the first objective, if you are meeting in long-term basis, of course the second, it will automatically it will follow. Then we have discussed the three important component of this total quality management, that is first one, time, cost, and quality. So we have to stress more on this part, because of course with the estimated cost we will definitely will complete the project. It may not be any problem. Okay. And again, time bound projects, if it is 2 years project, we will almost, we can say 95 99% will complete it, these two. But when it comes to the quality aspects, um, it has to be taken care a lot more in future days, especially in Indian conditions. This is very important. Maybe another 5 to 6 years, or if you go for another 10 years, this will be even more importance for any of the project management. So if quality is there, um, sometimes there will be some negotiation in the cost as well as the time. that will be there. See, if this one is deteriorating, if the quality is deteriorating, even if you complete within a stipulated time with a mm, estimated cost only, so then the project is going to collapse. So that you have to keep it in mind always. Okay. So always target it in quality in terms of the materials, quality in terms of execution, quality in terms of planning, um, quality in terms of completion also. And also we have discussed the in detailed syllabus of the subject. So in the first module, I said that we are completely the first module. It is related to the estimates, especially preparing the or estimating the quantities. It is completely. The second module, it is completely related to the rate analysis. So we'll try to club these two modules whenever we are targeting. Then the third module is about preparing the bills in departments or some setup procedure. What kind of setup procedure is followed in most of the um, government offices, or if you are carrying out any of the consultancy or works in any of the offices. Suppose if you are um, um, part of any of the PMC, that is project management consultants. So we'll discuss that what is that PMC and all those things later whenever we'll discuss it. And the fourth module we have some of the case studies. It is completely office data. Then some of the case studies case studies are there in the fourth module. Then and it is completely fifth module is about the valuation, and this is what we can call it as post project. Um, how exactly after completion of the project, how it has to be evaluated, what are the criterias are there, and even after completion of the project, how it has to be certified that the quality is good, how it has to be certified that the project is completed within a stipulated time. So it is all complete about the certification. Uh, these are things we are going to discuss in all three five modules. Of course, the first and second module you already did in your BE. Still, we'll discuss that. But what we'll do is that we'll try to relate with the quality aspects, where exactly as a project manager has to um, see that how the quality has to be improved during the estimation and during the um, completion or execution of the projects. So then I recommended that um, two very good books. That is first one, that is Datta. That is also very good book. M.N. Datta. First one. Then Birde is also good. You can refer these two books for the first, second, and the fourth module. The third and fifth module, um, I've given one more book that is related to the Ravi Kumar. That is also very good book. Roshan and Namawati, as well as one more is there, Roshan Kumar. You can refer that also. Then we'll move on to the syllabus. I also discussed the question paper pattern. Of course, 10 questions will be there. In that 10 questions, you have to answer any 5 questions to each. question carries 20 marks. So then the first module we have 50% choices will be there, like one or two that you have to answer. The second module, three or four, so like that it will be there. So then, as in the first module, um, it is completely related to the estimation. So we'll start with the what exactly this estimation is. An estimate for any construction work is defined as the process of calculating the quantities. The first one, very important. It is calculating the quantities and the costs of the various items required in connection with the work. So to always that we already targeted, that is the quantities and the costs. It is complete about the estimation part, and it is prepared by calculating the quantities from the dimensions of the drawings, the various items required to complete the projects, and multiplied with the unit cost of item considered. It's very simple. How exactly we are going to calculate the dimensions? For example, if you have a cube is there, normally it is having the cube is having, you want to in terms of meter cube, okay, L, B, and H. So the how much meter cube uh, of stone or bricks is required, like that you can calculate it. So it's very simple. Sometimes assume that you have similarly, if we have some plan is there, so how exactly the area of the building can be calculated. So that is L into B. You want to calculate, that is L into B. So it is prepared by the, especially from the drawings or from the each of the units. So then rates, it will based on the SR rates. So different projects are having different types of SR rates are there. We already said that most of the time we'll use the PWD SRs. So when it comes to some of the water supply distribution networks, sometimes we'll use RWS, that is Rural Water and Sanitation Department, and will use it. So then, what is the purpose of estimating? So, first purpose is to ascertain the necessary amount received by the owner to complete the proposed work and arranging the fund for the same. For public works, construction estimates are required to obtain the administrative approval, then allotment of fund and technical sanctions. First purpose, why the estimate has to be prepared first. The first one, that is how much amount is required to complete the project, or if somebody has given you to do the estimate, why he'll give. So you wanted to know that how much amount is required to complete the project. It is for some of the residential or if that one. For example, if the government works, for example, if any of the road if you are constructing, then first the government engineers has to take the approval from the competent authorities. So that is administrative approval. So normally, if you go um, any work, so first one um, they will plan it. Um, Once they plan it, normally that we can call it as task force. So task force has to be prepared first. Any competent authorities. So first task force, then DPR has to be prepared. So Task force is nothing but uh, it is rough estimate. Like for example, uh, 1 kilometer of concrete road is there. Concrete road is there. Roughly how much it is required? Assume that it is requires 2 crores or 1 crore. So then it may exceed or it may not exceed. So roughly they will give. We can call it as during planning stage. What they will do is that uh, they will reserve it for approximate it is for 1 crore is required during planning stage. But whenever you are preparing the DPR, DPR stands for detailed project report. So in between you have many stages are there. You have to do the survey and all those things. So just we are highlighting how exactly it can be taken. So then detailed project has to be a report has to be prepared. So once it is prepared, so then it is if it is correct, then it is almost final, almost final. Once the DPR prepared, so it will go for the administrative approval. DPR means detailed project reports. It involves both quantity and cost of each of the sections or each of the elements. So then it will go for administrative approval. So then it will go for technical approval. So then once it completely, then you have to start the work. Start the during the execution of the projects. Then once you start it, then so in between you have some uh, inspections will be there. So normally we'll discuss that what kind of inspections will be there. Even during execution of the project and after execution of the projects, normally third party inspections or administrative people will come and they will check the quality in between the stages. So normally it is um, so verification or inspection. So then once it is inspected, so then it is going to complete. So once it is completed, then again it has to be verified and verify and validate. So these are some of the stages in a government process. So that has to be in each and every stages. The care has to be taken. So as we already said that for public works, or it is required to go for the administrative approval. So then normally once the DPR is prepared, so then allotment of fund and technical sanction it has to be made. So once technically if we said that, so the amount will be released. Then any other purpose of estimating are to ascertain the quantity of materials. First, that is once the DPR is sanctioned, so then you can say that how much quantity of material I have to buy. So then, so how to buy and what time it is required. Then to know the number of different categories of work that is to be employed to complete within the schedule of time of completion. Different categories. For example, different categories in the sense, um, if you take the concrete road itself, so you have again there um, sub base. Before that, subgrade will come. Sub base and base layers. So this is first, second, and third. Then in subgrade, so what kind of soil I required? For example, lateritic. is normally preferred. So which is having the density of around 2 gram per cc minimum it is required, or 2.2, it is 1.8 above that density is required. So then that kind of material I have to brought it to the site, the quantity and everything it will be there in the DPR. But so these are some of the what we can call different categories of works. Then once it is laid sub base, then after that whether it is asphalting and all those things that I have to consider it. Means different categories means different elements in the each of the project work. So then it helps to assess the requirement for the tools, plants and equipments required to complete the work. So what kind of equipments I require to execute the project. Okay, how many JCBs are required? So how many water tanks are required if you are going for um, any of the concreting work? If you are doing it, how many tankers of water is required? How many tankers are required? So like that, it will be there. So to assess that, we require the um, purpose of estimate, and to fix the completion of the period from the volume required in this is how much. Once you do the estimate, then only you will come to know that how much time is required to complete it. That is one. Next, to justify the investment from benefits to cost ratio. So this is also very important. Here it is completion period, and this is benefits to cost ratio. So when always if you want the if you do the estimate only, you'll come to know that what will be the benefit to cost ratio. Then to estimate is required to invite tender preparation of the bills of the for the payment. So here is very important. During the stages, normally uh, here after administration approval and technical approval, here they will start the tendering process. Normally we have now online tenders. So once administrative approval and technical approval is done, so they will go for the tendering process. So once then, it has to be allotted to one contractor. So then he has to start the work. Like that, it will be there. So even for that, we require um, the estimate. Even for inviting the tenders, it is required to prepare the estimate as well as the preparation of the bills. So once the work is done, as I said that in third module we are going to study uh, how exactly bills are prepared. So then the last one, that is the estimate for existing property is required for the valuation. So even for valuation it is required. There also you require the the DPR. So in almost all this process, proper care has to be taken in preparing the DPRs, because here if you fail it, if it is a design stage, if you go wrong here, so these people will blindly follow that till here. Most of the time what will happen is that this is like a bible for each of the contractors. See, once it is approved, this DPR is approved, what will happen is that um, it is assigned by the section officers or the engineers from any of the government departments. Then simply they have to follow, the contractor has to follow even if it is wrong. The contractor has all the authority to say that um, he will say that if you mention instead of um, 6 mm, if you mention in the DPR that is 4 mm, then he will follow 4 mm only. If any authority has come that it is there in the Bible itself, that it is there in the DPR itself that it is a 4 mm thickness, so then I'll go for that one only. So like that. So in the design stage, proper care has to be taken. Again, everything has to be till valuation. It is they required. So then, um, the definition we already did. See then, what are the requirements for preparing the estimate? So drawings like plan is required. Elevation sections are the important points whenever you are preparing the estimates. Then detailed specifications required. First one, it is about the plan, elevation and sections. Then about the workmanship, then properties of the material we require. So you have to give the uh, mm, test, or you have to take the test reports from the competent authorities saying that these are the quality of the materials what we are giving it for our project work. Then standard, that is SR rates, is normally required for preparing of any of the estimates. Then, however, we have to prepare the detailed estimate. So it is mainly divided into two parts. So that is details about the measurements and the calculation of quantities, and it is the cost. So it is divided into two parts. That is the measurement as well as the cost. Then how exactly it has to be prepared? Detailed measurement, I already said that L, for example, if of the brick you are considering it, so it is the LBH, that is length, breadth, height of that. So each one, then how many numbers is required? So based on the area requirement, that you have to calculate it. Then once the detailed measurement or calculation is done, then finally you have to calculate the abstract. We'll see this abstract. How exactly, what will be the format of this abstract? So what I'll try to do is that I'll show you one or two the government reports, government sanctioned reports, how exactly the detailed measurements will be taken, or how exactly it will approved in government levels, and how the abstract is prepared. That also I'll share. I'll show. Abstract, it is like mhm. In normally in detailed measurement you have LBH, it will be there. So how much length, how much breadth, how much height, it will be there. But in the abstract, directly we'll write the meter cube. We'll write it directly meter cube and the cost. So we have that table. I'll give you that what exactly the format for the abstract, and what exactly the format for the detailed of the measurements. So then detailed measurements and calculation of quantities. It includes the respective measurements for dimensions for all individual items involved in the whole works are taken off from the drawings of the work and entered into the respective columns of the standard measurement form as shown below. Here we have a standard measurement form is there. So it is better to follow the same format in almost all the projects, because whatever the dimensions you are taking, you have to take it from the drawings itself, drawings of the work. Then by multiplying each of those dimensions, we have to arrive the quantities. Of course, you already know that how to do it, and you did also. So we'll go a little bit fast. So if you see what exactly the item number is, for example, item number is 1. So assume that if it is a earthwork. So then, so how many numbers are there? Instead of the numbers, if you have earthwork of Assume that you have a 100-meter length. So then 100-meter length I have to lay here. So earthwork excavation, how many types are there? So you have earthwork excavation 1, earthwork excavation 2, like that. If their items are there, you apply 1, 2 like that here, 1, 2 like that here. So then, so length 100-meter length. Then how much breadth of excavation? So then height of the depth, how much it is there? Then you write it as in terms of meter cube or 100 or 200 meter cube. So like that it is descriptions. There's a detailed measurement form. Observe that here you don't have any cost. So it is completely related to the measurement form. So then abstract of the estimate cost. So this is, of course, rather than that, it is also play an important role in preparing the estimate. So it is a second part. The see first you have to prepare the detailed estimate, then you have transferred that estimate to an abstract estimate column. So it is the second part, the preparation of the detailed estimate. So the cost of each and every individual item of the work is calculated by multiplying the quantities computed in the measurement form with a specific rate in a tabular form known as abstract form, and are added all together to get the actual estimated cost of work. See, see, this is the measurement form. Suppose even you can prepare measurement with cost also. For this, you can add one more column here, quantity. So again, so cost as per SR, then total cost for that item. So this also we can add if you are preparing the detailed estimate in a single column, that is also possible. So once this is done, then uh, the abstract form has to be prepared. So then each abstract means, for example, you have earthwork 1, 2 is there, then you have assume that you have one more called for example, if you are laying the pipeline is there, then if we have a cutting and filling, if that is item is there, then after that again here also earthwork excavation as filling. Sometimes some of the items will be there in earthwork, that is excavation with filling also it will be there. So that whenever if you are observing any of the SR rates, be careful about any of the items. Sometimes the items will be up like this. Sometimes it will be including the filling, they will write it. So uh, whenever if they give any of the specifications, be careful, read it properly. Sometimes only earthwork excavation will be there, sometimes filling will not be there, or sometimes the rates will be added including the fillings. So that has to be taken care. So then pipe materials, if any pipe materials, if it is a water supply project, if it is water supply project, then pipeline laying will be there. Then what kind of pipelines you are using it? So how many KSC of pipelines, how many, for example, 6 KSC or 4 KSC pipelines, what kind of means that much pressure it has to withstand. KSC stands for there is a pressure which is going to withstand that much the pipe materials. So once then fittings, wall connections, that all the things will be there. That will comes under the item numbers. So here in detail descriptions will be there in the measurement form. But whenever you are writing all these things in the abstracts, what you can do is that serial number 1. So earthwork. So how much amount is there? Then if it is earthwork, that much only you have to write it. In a second, if it is a pipeline, only write how much amount. So like that, you have to do it in measure in abstract form. Or even the abstract form also consists of sometimes the consolidated measurement as well as the consolidated uh, the cost of each of the elements. So in the abstract, consolidated consolidated measurement with cost, that will be there. So and whenever you are preparing the abstract, uh, there will be some 3 to 5% increase for some of the unforeseen expenditures will be there. Any of the project work, always, even if you prepare with 100% accuracy, some of the miscellaneous type of uh, works, or it will be always, it will be there, some expenditures will be there. So that normally we can call it as the contingencies. Normally it is reserved for 3 to 5%. Of course it varies from each of the projects. Sometimes it is 0.5%, sometimes it is 1%, sometimes it is 2%. So if it is a big project, normally 3 to 5% always some of the unforeseen expenditures will be there, that we have to reserve it, and that amount we have to add it into the abstract column. So then to maintain the additional supervising staff at work site called work charge establishment, a further amount of 2.5% is directly charged to the estimate prepared from the items of the works. So thus the summation of the cost obtained by adding all the items, um, the contingencies and the work charge establishment in the detailed estimate has to be provided. So all the things, these contingencies as well as the work charge establishments, that has to be added to um, the abstract column. See how this 3.5% or 2.5% this has to be always remember that um, whichever the things you are doing it, but it has to be in a proper channel only. So you cannot charge like 5%, 6%, 7%. So it has to go in a proper channel only. So this is normal about the column. So rate and the amount. So then the detailed specifications of this uh, introduction part of the estimates we will discuss in the next class. And one more thing, uh, even what will happen is that uh, most of the time in the first in the measurement form, we will not include any of the contingencies and workmanship establishments. uh, Even for the preparation of DPR as for now, and GST for any of the government works, this all has to be added into the abstract only. Abstract and some of the miscellaneous, it has to be added in the abstract. See, and whenever if you are preparing any of the DPRs, then always the tender has to be made for the peoples. It has to go to the tender process only. Either it is sometimes it depends, 0.5 to 1% it will vary, or sometimes 1.5% it will vary. So it has to go in a proper channel only. Okay. Then GST also, it has to be in a proper channel. Sometimes it will be 12%, it will be there. Sometimes it will be 18%, it will be there. So that has to be raised. That will have to think it what kind of works they are conducting it. Either it is 12% or sometimes it will be 18%. Then this has also, it has miscellaneous 0.3%. It has to go what miscellaneous activities. Even this has to go in a proper channel only. So these are all in each of the projects. It is well listed in prior to any of the project has to plan. So you keep it in mind that. So remaining the specifications and everything we'll discuss in the next class.